Welcome. It's really good to see you. So glad you could make it.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. As you can probably see, I have someone special here. It's a very special guest, my husband, Chris. I know that some people have been interested in him and our story and all of that stuff, and we'll go a little bit into that today, but I thought it would be fun to just do like a fun video where we get to meet him and you guys get to know him a little bit better. And we can kind of just chat like we normally do about, faith and life and stuff like that. So I have a list of questions for him, and we'll see how this goes.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay. First, introduce yourself.
My name is Chris. I am Mr. Sarah Says, as I am most commonly known in my life. No, I mean, I'm your husband and the father to our children, and yeah.
So, what is your faith background?
So I was raised in a Christian household. Grew up going to church. I went to a Christian school, graduated from there. Just was always kind of immersed in a evangelical Protestant culture. That was kind of the first 25, 30 years of my life until you came along and kind of
wrecked it.
Gave voice to a lot of the things that I was thinking. So, yeah, that's one of the things we connected on.
So, who were the influences in your faith journey, when you were growing up?
Growing up, my dad was a huge influence. He was a chaplain in a prison for a number of years before moving into a community church, a non-denominational community church. So he always was and still is a huge part of my faith and an inspiration. Just teachers along the way. My uncle, who's since passed away, was a huge part of my faith journey and somebody who just always taught me to ask questions and just dig for answers because they're out there.
Yeah.
So
how did we meet?
We met at a young adult retreat that was going on in my church, or my dad's church. Back in 2009, and I'd never met you before. You kind of just showed up there and were this new face among the crowd, and kind of started to get to know you then, and realized that this was a very intelligent, fierce young woman who definitely had me on my toes from day one. Yeah.
I think one of the first conversations I remember us having was over a book. It was over a Don Miller book.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember which one it was?
Was it Blue Like Jazz? Or was it Through Painted Deserts?
I think it was Through Painted Deserts.
I think so. I think I was reading that at the time.
Yeah.
I never finished it.
Really?
No.
It's so good.
I know. We have 2 copies of it. We have your copy and my copy still on the bookshelf. But I don't think I ever finished it.
Yeah, it's really good. You need to finish it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think
all right, I'll go do that.
Well, no, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure we talked about Blue Like Jazz, though. I feel like
that
was a really influential book.
Well, I had a signed copy from him, as well as a little short video clip that some friends of mine had gotten of him giving me writing advice.
Oh wow!
At
really?
Yeah, a signing that he went to, or that my friends went to. probably like in 2006, and I'm sure I bragged about it to you at the time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't remember it now, but
I definitely would have. Yeah.
So speaking of books, what would you say is your favorite Christian book?
So I don't read a ton of nonfiction, but among what I have read, I would say The Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning was probably the most influential book that has impacted my faith more than any other. And so it's a favorite. I just, every couple of years, I like to go back to it and just be reminded of the amazing grace of God, and yeah, that's my answer.
So, Brennan Manning, he's Catholic, isn't he?
Yeah, he was. He's since passed away, but yeah, he was Catholic. He was a priest.
So, was that part of you being like, oh, this girl is kind of interested in Catholicism, so, like, that's okay?
Yes. Yeah, that definitely was. Yeah, that definitely was, because I'd read that book a number of years before I met you, and so I'm sure that was one of the things we talked about when over the years where we were friends and we would get together and talk, and you would talk about Catholicism. That would have been definitely one of the touchstone things that I'm like, oh yeah, one of my favorite books is The Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning, who's Catholic. Yeah. So.
And, I mean, on top of that, you also really loved, what's his name?
Rich Mullins?
Yeah, Rich Mullins. Who, like, almost became Catholic.
Yeah.
But he died before
Rich Mullins, yes. His music, I, like, around, like, the end of high school into my early adulthood, I really, really got into Rich Mullins' music, and learning more about him and his life. And he was dead by that time. So I really got into him and learned that he was, A, looking at Catholicism, but B, that he was deeply influenced by Brennan Manning, which is how I got into reading him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. So, who would you say is, like, your favorite Christian artist now?
Now? Oh, like, which genre?
I mean,
like
you listen to boring music, so I guess we can start there.
Well, I listen. Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to a lot of, like, contemporary Christian music these days.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really either, but
okay.
But, like, I meant, like, sad, like, acoustic guitar.
You mean, like, thoughtful, pensive,
yeah.
like, I would have to say probably right now, I'm really into Bear's Den.
Okay.
I like them a lot. Yeah, there's a couple others. Gable Price and Friends.
Oh yeah, we like them.
We do. Yeah, they came on the album. Really like them.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to whip open my iTunes to kind of brush over it.
Yeah. It's hard to find, like, Christian music nowadays that's really good.
Jervis Campbell.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he's really good.
What kind of music is he in?
It's like he would probably be more like a contemporary Christian artist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
is there someone who would be considered CCM now that you really like?
I would say right now I've definitely been listening to the November Songs EP by Shadowlands. That's really good. It's like 6 songs, and it's all very like contemplative, worship oriented, like just the soul seeking after God kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, also just very visceral. Like it's just like
real.
Says, hey, life is really, really hard sometimes, and here's where we're at. So yeah, that's good. What about you?
I think that my favorite artist of all time, like, Christian wise, which I guess
of all time,
I don't know. Okay. That's hard. I mean, I've always loved Reliant K, but
no, the correct answer is Michael W. Smith.
Controversy. Michael W.
Smitty, always.
Smitty, yeah. He's good. He was my first email address, actually. MWS. Wow. That was my first email address. I've gone through phases. I really liked Switchfoot for a long time.
Yeah.
I've always loved Reliant K.
Yeah.
And
We went to one of their concerts a few years ago.
Yeah. 5 Iron Frenzy, I'm a huge ska fan. I know you hate ska, but it's just the best, and we need like a new ska wave. Like that needs to happen.
We need a new pandemic wave?
No. Ska is happy. It makes people happy.
Not me.
Well, I'm sorry that you're left out of the ska club. We'll be skanking over here.
You'll be... Is that the term?
Yes, it is. You obviously don't know because you missed it. You missed the train.
I'm not comfortable with that. Where's your wife? Oh, she's skanking it up over there.
Anyway, who else do I like? I don't know. It's like I said, it's kind of hard to come by. I really liked Brooke. I really liked Audrey Assad. Oh man, I loved Audrey
for
Assad.
A lot of years.
Oh, and now, it's just such a sad story, and I just pray that she comes back to the faith. But yeah, her first couple albums were just so good. But yeah, it sucks when someone falls away from the faith after you've invested a lot of love and time into it.
Do you feel like you can still listen to her albums from before, knowing where she's at now?
I couldn't for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just started being able to listen to a couple of them, but it's hard, it's hard if you feel almost like betrayed in a way, I guess, which isn't really fair to put that kind of pressure on someone in their faith walk. But you almost feel like they lied. Like they were acting like they were so devoted to Jesus for so long, and then all of a sudden they're like 180 complete turnaround, talking bad about the faith or whatever, and you just feel like, okay, well, was that all a lie?
Yeah.
So it's harder to take their words seriously.
Yeah. But I think better that than faking it. I'd rather people be honest about where they're at.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. There's also this big question of the artist versus the art. Can you enjoy the art even knowing that the artist is someone that you wouldn't want to associate with? And I feel like there are arguments on both sides of that. But yeah, I miss Audrey Assad's music.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, moving on. Speaking of Audrey Assad, who was once Catholic, what did you think about me becoming Catholic? Do you remember when I first was like, this is something I want to do, and you were?
Yes. I mean, it was never a surprise. Even before we were dating, you would talk about Matt, your brother, becoming Catholic and how it affected you and what you thought about it and how it changed how you thought about things. And so I always knew that was a possibility. And then after we got married, I mean, there was a time I knew it was an inevitability, really. Just the more you would talk about it, the more you'd be looking into things and watching Catholic speakers and teachers on YouTube and listening to podcasts and things like that. I mean, you really went headlong in and still are, which is great, but it was very easy to see that it was coming. And I remember telling you, I see where you're headed, and if you feel that's where God is calling you, then you have my support 100%, but know that I can't go with you there.
Yeah.
Not yet, maybe not ever, I don't know. But at least not at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't a surprise at all. And there've certainly been some difficulties in it, but I'm very proud of you. I've seen the fruit that it's brought about in your life, and I see the love you have for the church and for the Lord, and I don't doubt it. I don't doubt your decision.
Thank you, sweetheart. That means so much to me.
Yeah.
I think, there are other people who watch my videos and have struggled, are struggling in their own marriages, with that kind of issue. And it's hard because not everyone's spouse is supportive, or maybe they don't care, or maybe they care a lot and they are very against it. So I guess, like, what's your advice to people who are in kind of a similar situation to us?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Research. Ask people who know things. Don't just look for answers from people who are against Catholicism and the Catholic Church. But really see what the church teaches on things so that you can know whether or not you can support it. And if it's not something you feel you can support, figure out why.
Yeah.
Pray about it. And yeah, just keep learning. I mean, I've learned a tremendous amount in the past several years.
Yeah. And I want to echo what you said in the fact that, like, we have always had a very close spiritual walk together as a married couple, and prayer has been a part of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the lesson that we have learned in our marriage over and over, and not just in this, but in everything, is like the lesson of trusting in God's faithfulness and his timing.
Yeah.
And we might not understand, you know, his timing for everything, but we can definitely trust in his faithfulness that, like, even if we screw up majorly, he's going to bring about the good for his glory. And, you know, it's a major trust fall to be in this kind of situation.
I mean, it definitely, even though I could see it coming that you were going to join the church, and I knew that I wasn't there with you, there's definitely been questions, even to current times, where I'm just like, why did it happen this way? Why was she led that direction and I wasn't there beside her right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I don't know. I don't really have any solid answers, but I know that God is faithful, and I know that, I know that we're solid, and that, God has a plan. He's at work,
definitely,
and I'm open to His leading. You know, I try and just seek that out, whether that leads me to the Catholic Church or not.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, like, that we have always been committed to is the idea that, like Jesus is at the center of our marriage. Yeah. And that means that we're going to have to be uncomfortable sometimes in trusting in him. And also just, like, some of the decisions that you've made in our life have helped tremendously. Like, you go to mass with us, and so that, like, our kids can see us going together as a family. Yeah, and
that's hugely important, is that they see us being consistent and faithful as a family. And I know that my role as the father is vital in that. And we also have, like, really worked to find areas of agreement, and we have almost, like, I would say 95% of the time we're in agreement over things. So two sides of the same coin.
And I just want to, like, also say the fact that, like, your spiritual leading in our family has been amazing. Like, you're such a humble leader. You, like, showed your love for me because you cared about, like, my spiritual well-being. You know, even if it was something that was hard for you, you were willing to, like, put that on the line so that you could see me stop suffering in the place that I was. You know?
I mean, one of the most cherished parts of our relationship has been taking communion together. You know, we did it at our wedding, and it was something that we would do, you know, every week when we were at a different church together. And then when it got to the point where you were looking at Catholicism and knew you wanted to convert, and knew that you believed
in the real presence.
Yeah, in the real presence. And that you couldn't just take communion at another church where they didn't believe that. And I just remember there's a handful of times where I would go up to get it by myself because you would say back you couldn't do it, and we were losing something that was so important
Mm-hmm.
to us as a couple, but more importantly, you were holding out on something. You were being held back on something that is essential
Mm-hmm.
to you, to all of us. And so I couldn't, at that point, I knew that I couldn't hold out any longer. And then, yeah, that was that. And hopefully someday we'll get to take it again together.
Yeah.
Whether I'm Catholic or not, I don't know. See if I can convince some bishops.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's an area where we like are trusting in the Lord.
Yeah.
Like to make it be someday that we can do that again.
Yeah.
And I know that we both pray for that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a difficult road, and it's definitely something where we have to both put a lot of effort into it and trust in God. But I feel like the fruit from those decisions we've made has been so much. Like our kids, just I love seeing our kids grow in their faith, and God's blessed our relationship and our marriage, and I'm just really grateful that we're in the place that we're at, that we have such a strong relationship, and now we get to share that with other people who might be struggling and need prayer and need to know that there's hope. So that's awesome.
You're not alone.
So as you kind of learned about the Catholic Church, we started listening to Catholic stuff together on occasion. So I guess my two big questions for that are, the first is what's one thing that you really appreciate about the Catholic Church?
One thing I really appreciate about the Catholic Church is the depth of the doctrine, knitting the Old and New Testaments together, and really just understanding how they are interwoven, not just like throughout history, but throughout time and throughout faith. It's just one of those things where like so much context was never taught to me growing up. Even though I went to Christian school for 10 years and grew up in church, there was just so much that I was never taught. And to get to see how just the intricacies of God's story, it's been fascinating.
Yeah, that's what I enjoyed about the Catholic Church too, is that it really bridged that divide between the Old and New Testament, and in a way that I felt I had never heard explained before. And I feel like especially with the typology, like those connections, like the shadows of God's plan in the Old Testament revealed in the New Testament, I feel like that was really, really interesting for me. I think we listened to a Scott Hahn talk about that at one point.
Yes, I'm sure we did.
But so the next question is like, who's your favorite Catholic speaker? Like, who has been someone you've found to be influential, or like more than one person if you want?
Other than you?
Yeah, other than me.
Well, we started out the first couple years like listening to a lot of Father Mike Schmitz. We called him Hunky Priest.
Yeah, we did call him a Hunky Priest.
Yeah, or HP for short.
That's probably not respectful.
But you can
but
cut
we
that
thought,
out if you want.
like, when we saw him, we thought he looked like a model, and we were so intrigued by the fact that this person who looked like a model was a priest. So
dude.
God uses things.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy the Upon Friar Review YouTube channel that we watch. And I really like, I like Father Patrick a lot. He reminds me of my dad.
Oh my word, yeah, for sure. For sure.
My dad doesn't like hearing that. But I like Father Casey. I think he's very relatable. I like his solo videos where he just kind of talks about stuff. And I just really enjoy his candor.
I like, they're funny. They're really refreshing to listen to. They're not afraid to go deep, like in the same video or whatever. So I like them too. Also, the bishop.
Bishop Bobby B.
Bishop Bobby
as I
B.
call him. Yeah.
We
Again,
listen to
maybe
his
not
homilies.
as respectful as it should be, but
Yeah. But it's very familiar, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he's...
Yeah. His teaching, it reminds me a lot of my uncle, who was a big influence on me.
Yeah.
And it's always really nice to listen to him because I miss my uncle a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Aw. So, speaking of Catholic speakers, what do you... Like, you've watched all my videos, right?
Sure, yeah. Definitely.
So, what kind of videos do you want to see from me?
I would love to see more videos where you kind of share more of yourself and more of like your own, like parts of your own background, because you have such a fascinating history. Like you went over your story from Protestant church into the Catholic Church, but there's so much more to your background. Like the church you grew up in, just so many things that have happened in your life, so many things that you've experienced and seen. I mean, I know a lot of it's hard for you.
Yeah.
But I think not that you have to need to share it all at once, but I just think you have a lot to give, and I would really like to see you share more of that as you're able to.
Yeah.
And also just more fun videos.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's fun to break it up.
You're a very funny person.
I am the funny one.
You are the funny one. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to kind of like I've done lots of serious videos.
Yes.
And they're
and they draw a lot of serious comments.
Yes, it's true. Which is good. Yeah. I wish I had time to answer all of them because there's a lot there.
There are a lot, but myself and our children are very demanding, and we do not like to share you with the internet.
Yeah. But yeah, I've done lots of serious videos that have to do with like serious topics that we've discussed before or just have been on my heart, and those are awesome, and I want to continue doing them. But I feel like I really want to do fun videos where it's still talking about like Christian culture and all of that stuff. I feel like we always have a lot to say about that. But yeah, also just like stuff about parish life and that kind of thing. Like more of the like social, relational, discipleship.
Yeah, I'd also see you interview more people in like the local churches. Like your RCI director, Barbara, who's really great. Maybe the father at your parish.
That would be cool.
Be very cool.
We're surrounded by some really great Catholic people.
Yeah, we are.
Which is awesome.
And that is one of the things also I should say that I have really loved learning about the Catholic Church and Catholicism is there's just some really wonderful people. I've met just some truly caring, loving, spirit-filled, Jesus-loving individuals who have redefined what Catholics are to me, and it's very wonderful.
Yeah, and like to that point, and I really could do a whole other video on this, but that's why. Okay, so if I asked you before you met me, like, what do you think of Catholics? You would have said.
I would have said, I'm sure there's some Catholics who really love Jesus, but I mean, it's, just all about the tradition and worshiping the saints.
Yeah. And like on the same point, I know that when I was dating someone who wasn't a Christian.
Who wasn't me?
No. Yeah. Previously.
What?
Before you. And they were mad that I wasn't, Anyway, they were upset with me, and they were comparing me to some other person who was Catholic and not abiding by Catholic teaching in relationship areas. And I was like, well, they're not really Christian. They're not really Christian. They're Catholic. So that was my thoughts on that. I thought my brother was the exception to the rule. You know. So all of that to say, the Catholic life well lived and lived out loud, like so people know that you're Catholic and that you love the Lord and that you follow His word. Like that is the biggest witness to people who are not Catholic or who are anti-Catholic.
Yeah.
I mean, if the people in our life who are anti-Catholic, if they actually knew Catholics who like weren't me, but like other people that they respected who were like fervent followers of Jesus, who were like passionate about their faith and weren't lukewarm, that would, I mean, their perspective would be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it's just an encouragement to all of my Catholic viewers, like, don't put your light under a bushel. Like, let it shine. Yeah. Let people know you're Catholic. Let people know that you love the Lord. Let people know that you are a passionate follower of Jesus and that he is the Lord of your life. And that kind of witness, you know, that's worth, you know, a million words.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the right thing to say?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining me and being willing to be interviewed by me. I really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
I appreciate you taking the time. We finally found time when our kids were both sleeping, kind of.
Yeah, doesn't happen often.
No, and yeah, I'm just really grateful for you. I'm grateful for, you know, the man of God you have been in our lives, in our family's life, and yeah, I really appreciate you. So thank you for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
And I also kind of want to brag about my husband a little bit. Not only is he an amazing husband and father, but he's also an amazing writer. And I basically told him that if he let me interview him, I would let him plug his book on my channel.
Which I'm always comfortable doing.
Yes. No, he's the introvert. He would never talk about his book if I wasn't like, you know, pushing him to. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it on here. I brought a copy so you guys can see it. It's called Earth King. So tell us a little bit about your book. Like, if you could describe your book in one sentence, what would it be?
It's a young adult fantasy novel. It's an adventure. A young prince is forced into hiding after his older brother is killed, and while in hiding he has to reclaim the power of his ancestors in order to save his father's kingdom from an ancient enemy. I think that was more than one sentence.
Yeah, that was more than one sentence. Sorry, that's going to be cut.
All right.
But anyway, something that we love, or
Book,
something
good, read.
Yes, that's good. Okay. There you go.
There we go.
Something that we like about this book, or something that I appreciate, is that it is kid friendly. So a lot of the books that are out there right now in the market have things in there that I wouldn't want our kids reading. Yeah. And this really it doesn't have that. Like, it doesn't have cussing or anything like that.
No cussing, no inappropriate themes. There's some violence.
Yeah,
it's a fantasy adventure.
Like Lord of the Rings violence, but
nothing gratuitous.
Yeah, but it also just has themes that are found in Christianity. Like, your Christian faith has influenced the writing of this book.
My faith is easy to find among the pages.
Yeah, and it's also very good. You know, and which, you know, it's hard to find really, really good books that are really well written that are in the fantasy genre. It's a very specific genre, but it's really well written. And I am not a fiction person. I am a non-fiction person almost 99% of the time. So, yeah, it's high praise for me. And also, it got really high praise from Publishers Weekly, which gave it an amazing review, which self-published authors hardly ever get. So I'm really proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. And this is book 1. Book 2 is coming out sometime in 2023.
Yeah. So I will leave a link below for people to check out your Instagram and for people to check out the book on Amazon if you are looking for a great Christmas present for someone in your family. I would say ages like, I don't know.
10 and up.
10 and up. Yeah. We've had 10-year-olds love it. We've had adults love it. We had a 10-year-old get in trouble for reading it at school when they were supposed to be doing work. So that, I feel like that was a high compliment.
That was. I was very happy with that.
Yeah. But anyway, so check out the book Earth King. It's on Amazon, and I'll leave a link below. And again, thank you so much for watching my videos.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch them, who subscribes to my videos, who leaves comments down below. Even if you disagree with me, you know, it's awesome to hear your perspective, even if we disagree. So thank you so much for checking out my videos, and hopefully in the future we'll be doing some more fun videos about Christian culture, but we'll still definitely be doing Catholic and Protestant type videos as well. So Anyway, hope you guys have a great week. I'm looking forward to the next video. And yeah, comment below and let me know what you think. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. So
Yeah,
thanks so
please
much.
do.
See ya. Bye.
I'll just stay here and do this myself now. Okay. All right. Chris, what's the number one thing that you want Sarah's viewers to know? She's the real deal. What you see is what you get.